Hello, hello. So I had an idea for what the second Celestials episode could look like. So yeah, let's just get into it. So we start the episode with Inferno and his friend group being at a trampoline park, and they are just having fun. They are doing tricks, playing around, doing flips, and they just have a fun day because they have like the day off, and then they go back home. Pretty simple beginning of the episode. But when they get back to their usual business and they get back to like the Hero Force building where they are informed about all their usual things, they get to hear news from their leader that a trap actually went off where they had their fun in the trampoline park. So apparently, trap went off that was meant probably for them, and it created a small explosion. Now, it wasn't deadly, but it did injure a bunch of people, and it also gave them burnt skin and stuff. So a lot of people actually got injured, but none of them got lethally injured. And so they hear this news from their leader. The leader of the Hero Force, by the way, kind of looks like a angelic guy in like angelic armor almost. And his name is actually Lars, but I have yet to make a video about him. Sorry, I need to calm my nerves for a second because I noticed I'm saying too much when I forgot what I had to say. My bad. So there we go again. After they hear this from their leader, they basically go train. And so we see Lars, aka the leader of the Hero Force, team up with some other wise members of the Hero Force, and they basically do some research. They try to find fingerprints for the traps and stuff. They try to find clues of who could have done this and where the bomb could have come from and stuff, and they basically suspect that it was another criminal who's part of the criminal band from the first episode, if you remember from the pilot from last week. And we see Inferno and his friend group basically train in like the special room. They are training with like these slime bots, if that's what you want to call them. So the technology in Celestials is pretty advanced, especially in the Hero Force, because they have the budget to do crazy things. And especially since they have specialized people in robotics and stuff. Also with the help of people like Weapon Master, they get a lot of crazy gadgets. And so basically they have these robots that are sort of like made out of slime. And you can destroy them, and then they can turn back into their usual form. And they can also make weapons out of the special slime because it can like harden and like get sharp. So you've basically got these training dummies that you can infinitely kill, and they can just keep coming back because that's the way they're designed to work. Sorry, I got a bit of a voice crack. And so we basically, like I said, get this montage. So the leader of the Hero Force and some other wise members that are good at doing research, what happened and who the criminal could be in question, who did this. And then we see Inferno and the friend group train, and they train a bit more, they go outside. We also, after this, watch them just play on monkey bars for a bit, for example. And the day passes by pretty peacefully. This isn't all going on in one day, though, by the way. This is like a montage, like I said, kind of. And we see them do all of this, then they have a peaceful day afterwards. We see Inferno meditate in the field with his friends. We see them do some more calm, fun stuff, maybe read a book and stuff, and look at the sunset. So things are going pretty peacefully, but they haven't found the criminal yet who set up the trap. Oh yeah, real quick, go to the link in the description to support me on Patreon. Thanks, man. And then suddenly, next morning, when he's on the job, Inferno gets called in for a fire, basically. So everyone's kind of a little bit panicked because this happened out of nowhere. And so basically Inferno, him and a bunch of other fire, water and magic heroes and his friend group get called on for apparently a massive fire that started in a town with a forest. But they are already suspecting that it was done by probably the same criminal from the bomb trap at the trampoline park, and they're suspecting it's maybe some kind of new trap as well to lure them in. But they're gonna go save the people anyway. So Inferno gets teleported together with his friend group and the other people, the other heroes that are there as well, to the town, and instantly he flies up in the sky, and they can immediately see that it's a big fire everywhere. So kind of like the fires in LA right now. So we see basically houses being on fire, we see the whole forest being on fire, and you might think, why would they call on fire heroes for a forest fire and the town that's on fire? Well, it's because most fire heroes actually have the capabilities to retreat fire as well, if that's what you want to call it. So basically Inferno is a good example of this, since Inferno is like a ghost made of fire in like a piece of armor that he's possessing. He can basically suck up fire. Oh man, sorry, the voice cracks are insane today. He can basically suck up fire, and there are magic heroes there as well to use their magic in order to clean some of the fire. There are water heroes there for obvious reasons. And Inferno's friend group is there as well, because Frost Knight is a water hero. Then we have the magic hero in his friend group that I didn't show yet, and the other guys are a bit helpful as well, obviously. And we basically get this scene where we see the criminal in question actually running away. So they kind of find the criminal running away from the town into the woods. And Inferno has to make the split decision if he's gonna chase after the criminal or if he's gonna save the people probably burning in the house fires. But luckily there are enough people to do both. So Air Force, since he can't help that much, he gets to chasing the criminal. Shroom Smash does this as well. And then Inferno, the magic guy of the group, Frost Knight and Weapon Master all stay at the town to save the people who are burning in the fires, since there are still survivors. And this is where things get very dramatic. We basically get this whole scene that lasts for a while, where they're all trying to save the people in the town. We see Inferno float over the sky and like suck up all the fire, and he can basically do this like I said, and also this fire is like fuel to him, so he has to get rid of it somehow before he gets too powered up like himself and he might blow up or something. So he basically just spits out the fire in like a fire beam into the air so it doesn't hurt anyone. And so we see Inferno fly over the town rapidly. He already kind of knows what to do because he's very experienced as a hero. He sucks up a bunch of fire. He flies over the woods. He sucks up a bunch of the fire as well. And then he uses some of his heat vision, which he actually has, but it's very limited. And these kind of moves actually tire him out. He uses some of his heat vision to see where there are still people. But of course it's a bit hard to see with heat vision in a town that's on fire. So he has a bit of trouble with seeing the surviving people, but he does find a bunch of them with heat vision. He hears a bunch of them scream out of the houses as well. And surprisingly, a lot of people manage to get out on their own, because it takes a while for a fire to take over a whole town. But obviously he finds a bunch of people entrapped in their houses, and so we have this very dramatic moment where a bunch of people are literally about to die. But then we see Inferno step into a house, and then we see a bunch of other heroes also save the day. But the scene mostly focuses on Inferno, and we see him in this one scene basically swoop into a house that's already like been broken down, but he heard a child screaming. And he searches around in the building for the people, and then he finds them. And so you have to remember, he's flying around rapidly. He's trying not to set more things on fire with his fire boots and stuff. And he has to kind of work professionally. And we see him look at this woman that's like trapped a bit in the debris with her baby that's screaming because she couldn't get out in time. And she's kind of like stuck between all the wood that's on fire. But luckily Inferno is here to save the day. So he sucks up all the fire. I know I said he sucks a lot, but I didn't mean in a weird I didn't mean in a weird way. He's just sucking up the fire. He's not sucking on something else. So he sucks up all the fire, he spits it out, and the fire in the house kind of goes away. But you have to remember, this is still a house that's falling apart, so it's still dangerous. So he quickly flies towards the woman. He pulls the debris away from her. He grabs her and flies her out of the building safely, and he saves her. And then for the people that they save, they basically kind of put them outside where it's safe, or they teleport them with their hero crystals to the hero force where they're safe as well. Doesn't really matter. And so we see the other heroes saving the day as well. They are putting out the fires. We see Frost Knight basically putting out the fires in the houses in the forest where they know there are no more people. Because Frost Knight obviously can't just freeze everything while there are still people in the forest, for example. And we see Weapon Master kind of help a little as well, because he has his gadgets and stuff. Fun fact, he would probably just pull out a fire extinguisher, but like a way better one or something, like a really big machine gun fire extinguisher or something. I think that would be pretty funny. And yeah, so basically the day is safe. They save most of the people in town, but obviously there are going to be some casualties. There are some people that get injured, and maybe even 1 to 2 deaths or something, but they were pretty fast onto the problem, so most people actually were saved. And then Inferno and Weapon Master, Frost Knight, the whole squad that went for the saves in the town, they all now go back to Air Force and the rest of the group to catch up with the criminal. And they teleport back to them. We see them still chasing after the criminal, because he's kind of like hiding away into another town, like looking for little alleys to hide and stuff. And eventually they catch him, actually. They catch up to him, which is pretty logical because they're with multiple people. And Inferno is here as well now. So we kind of get another one of these brutal scenes where they, like in the last episode, like in the pilot, they catch up to the criminal, they fight him, they fight him, yeah. But obviously they're no match for him because they're with multiple people and he's alone. And he kind of gives this explanation that he was actually the leader of the criminal group from the pilot episode, but apparently he just sent out his goons. Not his gooners, his goons, to do some mischief for him, because he wanted the other guy to prove in the team that he was responsible enough to also kind of be a leader. So if you remember the guy from the from the pilot with his blonde hair and his like motorcycle helmet, he wanted to prove his leadership capabilities as well. So he did the bank robbery without the actual leader. So now this guy was just left over after they murdered the gang from the pilot, and he wanted to kind of get a little bit of revenge. And he maybe also wanted to steal some money from the town, which he actually did. So they took his money back. They started ganging him all together. Not in that way, as in I mean like hurting him, not raping him. So they all gang the criminal, and obviously he gets killed. So I'm not exactly sure. I didn't really think this through in what way he would die, but I feel like he would just get pushed onto the ground, and because there were so many heroes around him, they would all just start kicking the living shit out of him until he's like bleeding. There's like blood spilling everywhere on the floor. He's like crying for help, but no one's gonna help, so they just keep going. Everyone's just kicking the living hell out of this guy. And I'm not sure exactly what he would look like, because I didn't make a video yet on him for his design. But maybe he would look similar to the previous guys, but he would have like this big flamethrower machine and more gear, and he would look like he would be more important, and he'd have more expensive gear, like I said. And so everyone's just kicking the living shit out of him until eventually maybe he gets like kicked in the face, or like someone puts him standing on his knees and they like sucker punch him in the face until he dies or something. And I feel like a lot of blood would be spilled on everyone's face, and it would be a bit traumatic actually, because they would get all of their anger out on this one criminal because of the people that got injured in the house fires. And that would basically be the ending of the episode for the most part. If you remember, Rick and Morty had this one episode where they did something similar in the sense that something dramatic happened at the end. And then they kind of returned home and you see them all sort of quietly staring in front of them because they're still processing the things that happened. And I feel like the same thing would happen in this Celestials episode. So they would get their anger out on the criminal because of the people that got injured. They would kill him. And then we would get this sort of calm scene where they're all going back to their houses. We see Inferno going back to his house as well. Everyone in the friend group is going back home. And we see Inferno maybe like sit on the couch or sit outside in the garden. And we see him stare outside and he's like looking, and he looks a bit like bedazzled from the whole situation because of the people that got hurt. And yeah, that would probably pretty much be where the episode ends this time. So I don't really have much else to say. I'm sorry if I blabbled a bit much. I just got back from being sick and I noticed that I say a lot in my that I said a lot in my previous videos, so I tried to watch my mouth a little. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did, and see you in the next one. Bye!